Go get on the track.
Welcome to Convinced and Confident. My name is Sarah Gilmore, and my co-host is Tamara Bluedorn. And each week we bring to you an inspiring message or person that will help you on your journey to self-discovery. No more fear. Fear no more. Is fear controlling you? Is fear paralyzing you? Franklin Roosevelt once said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." If fear is keeping you from your success, then you need to work on it. You need to realize it. Tamara, what do you see as the definition for fear?
I believe for fear that a lot of people, or the definition is the fear of the unknown, or afraid of the unknown, or don't know what to expect of what the result will be.
A lot of times we fear something and it never happens, whatever that thing is we fear. I have a definition that I've heard quite frequently. Definition of fear: false evidence appearing real. Did you hear that? False evidence appearing real.
So are we saying what we have made up in our own thoughts and minds?
Oftentimes, that is what is occurring. And we have so many fears. For example, fear of getting old, fear of being judged, fear of being poor, fear of being alone, fear what others say. I bet you have some fears, Miss Tamara.
Oh, absolutely. One of my most prevalent or the biggest fear has always been public speaking.
That's a major one.
Yes. I can remember before having to give a presentation at least twice in my lifetime, where I completely just blanked out, so afraid.
Really?
Of speaking, public speaking, and all eyes on me. So I knew that was one area I had to work on. But it never stopped me. I always kept on back.
That's the key.
Yes, got back up there.
That's the key. You know, psychologists say, or psychologists believe, I should say, that we have a predisposition to fear because what it did, it protected us from certain things.
Okay.
But they also say that fear is learned. What do you think of that?
Oh, I definitely believe that. Yeah, I believe our environments play a major role in what we fear because we hear it and we see it from whomever we are around.
Exactly. I remember as a young woman, I should say, or young girl, as a matter of fact, being told, listen, don't you go in that water until you learn how to swim. And I kept thinking about that. Have you ever seen anybody learn to swim on land? That actually does not make any sense at all. Don't go in the water till you learn how to swim. Tamara, were you told some things like that kind of are irrational?
Oh, I remember hearing that in the community about staying away from the water because you can't swim.
Because you can't swim. Yes. I think people still do that.
Oh, yes,
and
definitely
it really is irrational. It doesn't make sense. But fear really serves as a roadblock to our success in life. And most of us want to be successful. A quote by Marianne Williamson says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." What do you think she means?
I'm believing she means it's our success that we're afraid of, or what we may conquer that we are afraid of. Maybe of what we will become or what we will have to become, or, during the process.
Exactly. We may have to change. In other words, we may have to stop being so afraid and tackle those things that will make us successful. Most of us are so afraid of failure until we just completely don't do anything because we're so afraid that we will not succeed.
Yes, I see people, I believe, not take action.
Exactly.
And I don't know if that not taking action sometimes is from they run every possible situation in their head except for the positive one that where it shows that I'm successful at that act.
We have such a fear of failure. And some of it is that we've failed before. So that's the thing that keeps running through our head, as you talked about.
Oh, yes. And often people will remember what people said about them.
Other people said about them.
So they're so afraid of what others are thinking or what they said or laughing. And it's like, who cares?
Who cares? What we have to remember, everybody, if you've done anything at all in your life, you failed before.
Absolutely. That's a process. That's a part of the process of succeeding.
Exactly. But we aren't supposed to stop because of the fear of failure. So often we wait and wait and wait. I would go back to school, but I would start a business, but I would do this, but. And some people simply say this one, I'm going to do it, but right now I'm getting myself together.
Or she's married, I'm not, so that's why she can do that.
Exactly.
Or I have kids now, so I can't do that.
Exactly.
Or I'm 60 now, I can't do that.
Exactly. I do recall when I was getting ready to start a business, it's been about 25, 30 years ago, everybody said to me, are you crazy? What if you fail trying to start that business? Well, I had to think about it. It did affect me. It did make me a little afraid. It gave me a little fear. I already had some, but this added to it. I looked at it. I said, okay, I've got one house, my husband and I. My house payment was under $200 a month. I've got one old truck, and we had one car with a pretty good car payment, not too bad, and 3 children. So I looked at it this way and I said, okay, if I fail at this, there's so many more opportunities for me to succeed at this. If I fail, I will lose that raggedy truck. I might lose a house, but if I succeed, I can get another house, can I not?
Absolutely.
I had 3 children. Now, nobody was going to take the 3 children if I failed. So I looked at it this way. I may fail, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. And that's what makes the difference. Acting in spite of your fear. That's all I stood to lose. And so many folk have to look at it that way. But what if I win? Just what if this thing works for me? Act in spite of your fear. Thomas Edison once said during an interview, the person asked him, say, you failed at least 1,000 times in trying to get the light bulb perfected. How do you feel about failing that many times? Thomas Edison said, I look at it this way. I've not failed that many times. Instead, I have found 1,000 ways that it will not work, that the light bulb will not work. So take the positive road and look at it that way. Tamara, I often look at people who often are so afraid of the fear of rejection.
Oh, that's a big one.
That is a big one. They talk about Oprah Winfrey. At one time, she lost a job with a Baltimore radio or TV station, rather, because they said she was just too emotional. But when you think about it, it was just that one thing, her emotions, that became her trademark and made her a billionaire. So don't look at it as failure. Survive.
Well, also with that, Miss Gilmore, with the fear of rejection.
Yes.
Some people just feel they're not enough.
Oh, I see.
Not educated enough.
Yeah.
I don't know the right people, the right connections. I don't have, what it takes. That one something, what it takes so that I can be that. And so they're so afraid.
So afraid.
Yes.
So what you're saying is people are afraid that they are inadequate.
Absolutely.
That also means that they've not yet developed a certain level of self-confidence.
Absolutely.
Because that's the key. And we develop the self-confidence by
acting. Absolutely.
Acting
Taking the
on
action anyway.
Exactly. Act in spite of your fears. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody does. So that fear of rejection is major. Some say it actually can cause a psychological death. There is something they teach in Australia that I was talking about with somebody, and it's called the tall poppy syndrome. And if you've ever seen poppy flowers, they grow the same height. They're real tall, but one does not outgrow the other. And so they're taught in school, don't have the opposite of the tall poppy syndrome. You've got to be accepted. So as long as you're not greater or larger or taller or do more or more successful than the other person, you're accepted. You're not rejected. And that's what a lot of people look at, that part of it.
Well, I think people are always thinking about, well, I'm not from this family, or that family knows how to do this, or that person. And it's just like, you're good enough.
You're good
enough to complete the action. You're smart enough to figure it out. If you don't know all the steps or all the actions or the pathway, believe me, it reveals itself as you're going along and doing the process. What's important is doing the process of the acting.
Exactly.
And somehow it becomes revealed to you of what to do. If not, you just keep pivoting. And the process is you keep pivoting until it becomes.
Exactly. You know, the Bible even says to the believers, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. So instead of false evidence appearing real, you should look at it differently. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're a believer, you should be acting.
Exactly.
You should be acting.
Exactly.
But also, Ms. Gilmore, I want to mention, often with fear, people use it to stay in their comfort zone.
Exactly.
Instead of, they don't understand that a part of your development is getting out of the comfort zone.
Exactly.
And when you get out of the comfort zone, you become stronger, better, and you start taking more and more action. It just makes you, taller, bigger,
excellent,
more confident,
excellent
in who you are in accomplishing whatever it is. But you must first act.
It's like exercising a muscle, a specific muscle.
Yes.
The more you use it and exercise it, what happens? It gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So instead of false evidence appearing real, I say face everything and rise.
Oh, I love that.
I think that's a pretty good one as well, Tamara.
Absolutely. So we have 2 questions we would like everyone to participate in. We have, the first question is, name 3 things that cause you to be afraid. What causes you to be fearful instead of acting? The second one is, name at least one thing you will do in the next 2 weeks to help you overcome that fear. That's name at least one thing you would do in the next 2 weeks that will help you overcome that fear. Now, what we would like for you to do is to go to our website at convincedandconfident.com or our Gmail at convincedandconfident@gmail.com and let us hear some of the answers. We would love to hear all of your answers, all of your ideas, and how you are going to become more convinced and confident. That's our show, and we thank you for listening. If you like our show, Convinced and Confident, please leave us a rating and download us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play.